Hello, Dental Line Team listeners. This is Kiera, and today's a fun day. I think how to get more stability and predictability in your dental practice. I think this is a zone where people don't know how to have stability, predictability, growth, and how to do that in a consistent way. And so, some practices feel like it's like a freaking roller coaster. Like your systems are wild, and it's like, what flavor of the day should I be choosing? Should I fix my system? Should I go for a new patient? Should I be working on my P&L? And I think that that's just like what people do. And they're like, how do I get this stability? How do I get this predictability? Now, I heard this quote and then I tried to find this quote. So I'm just going to tell you because I love it. Who knows if it's real or not, but I'm just going to say it's real. They said that Walt Disney said, and I love Walt Disney and I'm obsessed with Disney, but they were able to create predictable magic with systems behind the scene. And I think about that for practices of like, how can I help you create predictable magic, predictable cash flow, predictable profitability, predictable like new patients? Well, it's through the systems behind the scenes and the team that's in place. And so today, really working on that of like how we can go from chaos and like whack-a-mole of like, and I feel like I do this too in my company. So just so you know, I don't think anybody's ever perfect at this, but I think we can actually cut out a lot of these pieces for you to create less chaos, more predictability, more predictable magic in your practice, to give you that consistency, confidence, and calm in an owner's life rather than the chaos and the surprise and the unknown of, will I be able to make it next month? Will I be able to make it in 6 months? I think for me as a business owner, that is the hardest part of being a business owner, is that unpredictability. And so trying to give you more, more predictability and stability. So if you're tired of the revenue swings, you're tired of the no-show surprises, you're tired of the last-minute team drama, like you're just tired and exhausted of that, this episode's for you. This is where today we're going to really go into our mission of positively impacting the world of dentistry with tactical advice from experts who do dentist and team consulting. We've been there. We've done it. We've done it multiple times. We've run it in our own practices. Every single consultant on our team has had to have a proven track record of going through exactly what you go through and coming out on the other side with ease and grace. So that's what we're here for. And so I'm going to just break it down into a couple quick steps for you today of just some different things that can probably help you create some more predictability in your practice, to create more stability and to get you out of that, like I said, the revenue swings, the no-show surprises. Now, this isn't something that's going to come easy. This isn't something that happens overnight. I have a sign up in my kitchen that says discipline equals freedom. This is a disciplined act. This is what the high achievers do. These are not the small practices that are doing this. And it's I feel like it's investing. Someone once told me investing is like vanilla ice cream. It's not sexy and nobody gets really excited over vanilla ice cream, but it's predictable and it's always good. And that's what I feel this is. Like, let's create your practice into the vanilla ice cream practice where it's not sexy, it's not flashy, but it is predictable and it's stable for you. And then from there, like add the sprinkles, add the toppings, add the chocolate. Like you can make vanilla ice cream awesome. It's a great base and a great foundation. So today I want to help you create that in your practice. So step one is a daily and weekly rhythm. I found that structure is something that's so paramount. Even my mom, like there were 7 kids in my family and my mom had to create structure. Like I remember summertime, a lot of parents hate summertime because their kids have no structure. They enjoy school time. There's structure. There's a rhythm. There's something that they can count on. Kids go to school at this time. Kids come home at this time. There's predictability in there. And so for you within your practice, let's kind of take what we do in parenting and in growing up, and let's apply that to your practice because the same principles apply. And so having these different pieces in place of how teams communicate, of how we review performances. So it's a cadence. Like I hate remembering things and I love cadences. So just a couple key strategies on this daily and weekly rhythm would be morning huddle. And in morning huddle is one of my fastest ways that I'm able to create stability and structure within a practice if it's a good one. So we're looking at patients' goals and priorities, and we're doing it consistently and we're looking for opportunities. So a great morning huddle. Christy and I were talking the other day and she said, I can add 10 to 15 grand to most practices just with a great daily huddle. And I love that because I agree with you. If you use a huddle strategically, it's like, why do team members, like in basketball or football, why do they huddle? They huddle to win the game, and that's what your huddle should be. So we have our daily morning huddle to look for opportunities, to prioritize, to align, to make sure our goals are actually where we want them to go. Then after that, we have a weekly leadership and team meetings. We're looking at our numbers, resolving obstacles. We literally teach our teams traction style L10 meetings. So that way you can run it. So we're talking about our data, any of our numbers that are off track are an immediate issue. We teach you how to solve issues. We teach you how to rate a meeting. So they're very effective and efficient meetings using data. So we're not just sitting here like vomiting our problems. You vomit the problems, yes, but we're also going to have a strategic way of how we solve them. And then this way we're able to catch our problems earlier. So between those two things of a daily and a weekly, so we're having a daily huddle that's focused on strategy, it's focused on winning, it's focused on opportunities. And then we have a weekly leadership. So your leadership team gets together and departments. And I know you might be like, that's so many meetings. It's fine. You're welcome to do that. But I'm like, if you want to know how the big players are hitting, like I'm talking the practices I work with that are 20, 30 million annually, this is what they're doing. And at a small level and a big level, this works. When I had one team member, I did leadership meetings every single week because I figured we need to start, like that's what big practices do. That's what big organizations do. So why am I thinking I'm so small not to implement that? When you do this, you typically will see a 10 to 20% increase in revenue and decrease in overhead. You'll increase your schedule. Like just doing this, you'll look for opportunities. Your schedule will start to get hit more consistently because we're tracking it. We're tracking it every single day. And people like don't love to talk about this, but I'm like, I also don't love working out, but I want the 6-pack abs. So it's choose your heart. Like, would we rather sit there and like hope and pray and want to have it? Or are we going to start to put in some of these daily practices and weekly practices that work for other ones? So that way you can have more predictability. I promise you where your focus is, like where energy goes, focus flow. Like where focus goes, energy flows. Let me get that one right. Where focus goes, energy flows. So if I'm focused on the numbers, I'm focused on the things we should be doing, I'm focused on solving problems sooner, that's where my energy is going to go. So we're going to start to like, if you read the book Essentialism, they talk about like, don't spin your wheels on a million things, spin your wheels on the most important things and laser focus on it and get everybody rowing in the same direction. You're ultimately going to grow so much faster. So when we're doing these little pieces, this is what it is. So I would, if I was you, add these meetings into it, but I would make sure my meetings are powerful and impactful. I wouldn't just do meetings for meeting's sake. Meetings need to be done with intentionality. Number 2 is tracking leading metrics, not just lagging ones. So a leading and a lagging, I really hate these. They're really hard for me, but as leading ones are things we have control over. Lagging's the outcome at the end. So for example, like pre-appointment, how pre-appointed are our books? What's our unscheduled treatment? What's our AR aging? What's our same day conversions? What's our diagnosis rate? Like all those things are leading measures that will help us know if our outcome is going to actually get met. So if we're looking at pre-appointment, like how many patients in our database are pre-appointed for appointments versus how much recare and reactivation do we need to do? So it's these two things. Like if I want to schedule full, I can pre-appoint, I can reappoint, I can look at all those different pieces to make sure my schedule's full. Schedule full is the outcome, the pre-appointment, the reappointment, all of that is a leading measure that's going to help me get to my outcome. And then we want to actually look at those. So, and a lot of times it's like, we want to hire somebody. Well, let's think about the leading metrics that would help us. It's how many ads did we place and how many interviews did we perform? Those are things we have control over. I don't have control over if I hire somebody or not. I don't have control over the candidates that come to me, but I do have control over how many ads I place and how many interviews I perform. So let's track that versus tracking somebody being hired. Let's track how many reappointments we have and pre-appointments we have. Those are things we can control versus is our schedule full. I still want to track both. Those are still important, but we have your team can influence the leading measures. They can't necessarily influence the lagging ones. And if we have great leading measures that we're tracking, our lagging outcomes should actually be hit. Then we look at those in our weekly meetings, not just at the end of the month. And then this way, like it's a KPI scorecard that the whole team's looking at and they're watching. So when we do this, what you find is our reappointments. Like, so in office, when they start tracking their reappointments and we start doing it consistently, we go from 80% to 85 to 98. And people are like, but Kiera, I already do this. We're already doing it. And I'm like, great. Then let's just make sure that the data proves what you're already doing and you're getting the gold stars for what you're already doing. What's crazy is when you start tracking these little things, your practice actually gets a lot better. And it's crazy to how quickly it does. So if I was in your shoes, I would look at where are my gaps and where are the things that I feel, like I said, the schedule gaps. So what could I do if I've got gaps in my schedule that would be leading? Well, it'd be how many outbound calls did we make and how many patients did we get scheduled off those outbound calls? Those are things I can control. So this is on my recare. Tiffany, she used to make her practices call 50 patients a day. I am not exaggerating that. I think it was actually 100. Like it was so many, because she's like, the more I have to have so many outbound calls, because she had tracked it, I have to have this many outbound calls in order to have my schedule stay consistently full. I can't just call when I need an opening. I need to be constantly putting those phone calls out there so patients are calling me back and I keep my schedule full. That's something. So when you're looking at like, well, I'm so tired of the cash flow dips, I'm so tired of the schedule gaps. My question is, what are you doing proactively? Like, those are the systems behind the scene that create the predictable magic. I guarantee you, Walt Disney's not like, we should have fireworks. Well, no, there's all these systems in play before they even get to fireworks show to make sure the fireworks show is a success. So for you, looking, what are the predictable things I should be doing? So the way you break this down is, what are the 3 big stressors I have? And then what are leading measures that I could add into place to prevent that? So instead of me looking at the end of my P&L and being like, well, shoot, I don't have money. Could you look at your bank account every single day? Could you look at your P&L every single day? Could you look at your diagnosis and your production? If you want to produce 100 grand, you've got to be diagnosing 300,000. That's something within your control. You could start to say, am I diagnosing $300,000 a month? I break that down to how many dollars I need to do a day. I watch my daily production diagnosis. I work with my hygiene team. I integrate Overjet or Pearl as AI solutions to it. That's how you can start to move this one forward for you exponentially, rather than hoping and praying that we're hitting our cash flow at the end of the month. That's how you start to be a more strategic, getting out of that like chaos into consistency and predictability. And then step 3 would be like building capacity plans. So when I look at this, sometimes we like, so back at the beginning, I mentioned to you, I said, are you tired of the revenue swings, the no-show surprises, the last minute team drama? Well, cool. This is around like the team culture and all of that. So people and time are going to be a big piece for that. So based on our production goals and where we want to go, based on where we are currently and in the future, I need to start planning and projecting out, how many team members do I need for the production? How do I have block scheduling to make sure that I'm not having like up and down months? How can I forecast out on my schedule to see, when are my down months? When are my up months? When are people taking vacations? How can I proactively plan for this? And then we're going to plan PTO and hiring proactively. So when I'm projecting out with a practice, we're literally at like September. So convenient timing of this podcast to release for you. I'm looking ahead to say, okay, let's plan out our entire year, time off. When are we having meetings? What are the highs and lows? What are the peaks and valleys within our production? And how can I stabilize that so I'm not having these huge swings in a practice? How can I either plan for providers to be there, not have as many providers off? I'm looking at past history. How can I prevent September and have slam dunk timber? Like, what are the different things when I know I've got those lows? What could I do 2 months earlier to make sure that I'm not having these like high and low months? And then I'm proactively doing these pieces. So if I need to hire, or I need to do these different, I need to have a different schedule. Like, a lot of you are out 2 weeks in December. So why are we setting our September goal the same as our, say, October goal? They're not. They shouldn't be the same. You should figure out, what is my goal? So if I'm trying to produce, let's say 3 million, well, I'm not going to do 3 million divided by 12 months. It's going to set me up for massive failure. I'm also not going to do it by 52 weeks. What I'm going to do is I'm literally going to look to see, let's say there's only 45 weeks that we're going to have. And let's say I'm going to then do that by 12 months. Well, now what I've got to do for there is, if that's the case, I need to be producing every single month. Okay. So what I did is I did 3 million, and I'm going to do that by about 45 weeks. Okay. Then I'm going to divide that by 12, and I'm going to say, all right, this is what I need to do. So my 3 million, divide that by 45 weeks. That gives me 66,666 per week. Now I'm going to divide that by 4 days. I need to be producing about 17,000 a day for 45 weeks. Notice I took out some of our low weeks. We have 52 weeks in a month. So I just gave you 7 weeks where that's going to hit your December holidays. It's going to hit your November holidays. It's going to hit your ice days in February. That's going to hit it. And instead of just doing it haphazardly like that, you actually can proactively plan this out. We have a tool for this where you can plan this. When are people out? What do I need to do? And then based on the growth that I'm also going to project for our business, based on my diagnosing, all these leading measures, how many team members do I need to have, and when do I need to hire them? Whew, how you doing? because that was so many words. And I hope you took it and I hope you took notes on it, because what this will do is it's actually going to create a roadmap for you for next year. It's going to create a way for you to have predictability. This is going to prevent those revenue dips. We've helped you already with scheduling gaps by being with leading measures, and then with your team, like staffing issues, making sure we have enough team members. If we know we are always down an assistant, rock on, let me project that out. Let me figure out what I need to produce for that. That way I can hire an additional assistant without having it be chaos on me. These types of things. If I know I've got maternity leave coming out, how can I proactively do it? What if I hired another hygienist? But I actually build this whole plan out as best as I can. Usually I do mine in September, August, September, October is when I start working on mine to have it ready to go for the next year. I always want to throw up when I look at how much it's going to be. And then I like go to work and figure out how we're going to make this happen. But that helps you be more proactive. So I would look to see these three things of, one, do I have a daily and a weekly rhythm? That was the easiest thing, and making sure that those have opportunities and looking for that and strategizing with that. Then having leading indicators, not just outcomes, and we're tracking that collectively as a team and in every department. And then we're creating this strategic plan and forecasting and projecting out. So that way that's in place. Those three little things right there are going to help you have so much more stability and capacity within your practice that you will just be able to sleep better at night. Like, as a business owner who's done this, as a consultant who's done this for offices, as consultants who do this for offices, these are things that are so helpful for you. Like, this is not just luck. I say create your own luck, create your own magic, and do it through the systems behind the scenes. But the discipline there is required. The accountability to yourself and to your team is required. Sometimes when I listen to podcasts or I have coaches come in, I'm like, whew, that feels hard. Well, it doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to do this on your own. Buying a practice did not mean you had to be a CEO and an operations specialist and a CFO. You don't have to do all these things. What you do need to do is hire people that are smarter than you, that know how to do this. And if you don't know how to do it, it is your opportunity and, in my opinion, obligation as a CEO to either figure it out, or I love the book, Who Not How. Who knows how to do this that can help me and my team? And then I vet them, I interview them, and then I execute and I hire them. That way you're able to grow. So if this is something that I think resonates, like you're like, I want predictable and profitable practices. I want to get rid of the stress and the chaos. I want to get rid of the highs and the lows. Reach out. This is what we do. We build systems to scale and sustain. We create the predictable magic with the systems and the team behind the scenes. We teach you how to have the disciplines. We teach you how to have an effective morning huddle. You don't have to do this alone. People are always like, dentistry feels like an island. And I'm like, only if you want it to be. It doesn't have to be. You can be with all the other doctors. You can be with all the other people. We have a community of doctors that get together. We have teams that get together. We have trainings across the board. We work with your practice individually and connect you with other people so you can learn from other people. You don't have to do it. So stop guessing, start growing predictably, start having more predictability and less chaos. This is what we do. So if this feels fun for you, reach out, hello@thedentalteam.com. If it feels terrifying and intimidating because you're like, I feel like I should know this, drop the ego and realize it's okay. None of us know what we're doing. Everyone's in your same boat. Everyone doesn't know how to figure this out. Some choose to get help and some choose to swim it out and figure it out on their own. Both are correct methods. It's just what's method best for you. And if I was you, I would at least book the call, see what people could do, and see if you could help me get more predictability in my practice. Because the biggest thing as a business owner that creates the most amount of stress are those upswings, those downswings. And when I have more stability, when I know more consistently, when I know what it's going to be, I'm able to navigate those highs and lows a lot better because I know the long-term outcome. It's not like a shotgun, like scatter. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like, all right, got it. I can weather this. And I also have somebody who can keep me stable. I have coaches and they help me keep my stability there. So reach out. I'd love to help you. hello@thedentalteam.com. As always, thanks for listening. And I'll catch you next time on the Dental 18 podcast.